Jacob, no! No, back off! Speaking of which, that's number 4 on our list. I think you also knew this was coming on the list. Now this is another word-of-mouth one. I'm sorry, word-of-mouth people telling me to put this on the list. This one gets money in critics. The critics wouldn't shut up about how perfect this movie was, how great this movie was, and of course it won a ton of Oscars. Won Oscars for Best Director, didn't get Best Picture, some movie called Crash did. I haven't seen that, and I know nobody who's seen that. In fact, all the movies that were nominated for the Oscars for that year were less-known movies, low-budget movies, and I'm fine with that, but I don't know. Anyway, Brokeback Mountain. I know, say, have you seen that all the way from beginning to end? No, not all the way from beginning to end, but I have talked to tons of people who have. And let me tell you something, I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. Everybody who has seen Brokeback Mountain has told me that they thought the film was highly overrated and extremely boring. In fact, let me tell you something. I used to have a gay supervisor at one of my jobs many years ago. He didn't like it. I had another gay supervisor at another job. He also thought it was lame. I actually had a straight person at an anime convention tell me that he thought Brokeback Mountain should have had more gay sex scenes just to get rid of all the boring stuff. Well, isn't that revealing about yourself? I mean, and let's not forget the parodies, the endless parodies. Not to mention the theme song isn't all that great. I mean, just strung some guitars. So, it's a professional movie about gay cowboys. How many porno movies have that same plot? Should we do an Oscar-winning version of Debbie Does Dallas next? Oh my gosh, you know what? I think that's what's going to happen next. No, seriously, they've moved movies out of video games, rides, they've made movies out of comic books, TV shows. They're going to make serious movies out of porno movies next. A serious version of Debbie Does Dallas. Coming soon. Maybe it'll win an Oscar, I don't know. Still, I mean, this film got way too much credit from the critics and whatnot, and I don't know, I just felt there was...
Brokeback Mountain at best is a Lifetime television for women made for TV movie, and with just as much acting. Oh, and by the way, I can't help but notice, unless there's a YouTube video anybody's told me about, I can't believe there has not been a Brokeback Mountain parody of, you know, the Joker and Batman since Heath Ledger played the Joker and was in Brokeback Mountain.
Okay, number 3 is going to be a tie. It's going to be a tie, and both these movies are on the list almost for the same reason, and they're both 3s. So we're going to have a 3-3-3. What does that mean? Number 3, both the tied films are number 3s in their chronological movie order. And both of them are on here for just one position, and that's money. Because critics had mixed reaction, and word of mouth was mixed reaction. So this is our number 1 pick for made the most money. Number 3 is a tie. And the tie is Spider-Man 3 and Pirates of the Caribbean 3. Now, I know some people are going to disagree with me on this, but you know what? I don't care. Alright, which movie do I pick first? Alright, let me go with Pirates of the Caribbean 3 at World's End first. Well, let me get something straight here. When I saw the first one, I didn't even see the first one in theaters, I saw it on DVD. I did not go see Pirates of the Caribbean 1 in theaters because I thought it was going to suck. Then when I saw Pirates of the Caribbean 1 on DVD, my jaw hit the ground. I was like, that was amazing! In fact, the ride made sense now with all the skeletons. And when I was a little kid, Pirates of the Caribbean was one of my favorite rides at Disneyland. So I love the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Absolutely broke my expectations and surpassed them in ways. So naturally I went to go see Dead Man's Chest in theaters. And everything was going great for the movie until the end. When, ooh, they found the chest. What's in the chest? What could possibly be in the dead man's chest? Diamonds, rubies, magical crystals that'll make you immortal, all kinds of stuff. What's in the chest? Ew. It's the hideous beating heart. A beating heart beating by itself. Okay, they had better explain this. And at the end of the movie, Jack Sparrow gets eaten by the Kraken. I know nobody who liked how that ended. And at the end of Dead Man's Chest, I simply said to myself in the theater, like, they had better explain this in 3. You know what? I think they so screwed themselves at the end of Dead Man's Chest, they honestly didn't know what the hell to do in 3. Because Pirates of the Caribbean 3 at World's End was an absolute mess from beginning to end. Well, first, it opens up with them being in Asia. How the hell did you sail from the Caribbean to Asia? I mean, back in those days in the 1700s, didn't that take lifetimes to get to the other side of the world? Didn't Magellan himself die trying to do that? Then they go from Asia to the North Pole. What? You're going to sail to the Arctic now? No. It's Pirates of the Caribbean. That's also unrealistic. Then they literally sail off the edge of the earth. I actually watched this saying, they can't be serious. And then, not only does Jack Sparrow come back to life, but the ship, the original ship, the Black Pearl, is put back together as well, even though we saw the Kraken tear it to pieces at the end of the movie. Okay. You know what they could have just simply done? They should have just said that the Kraken swallowed Jack Sparrow whole, and Jack Sparrow was inside the Kraken's stomach, and then Jack Sparrow, I don't know, finds some dynamite or something inside the Kraken and does his routine, you know, oh my, I found some rum here in the Kraken's stomach. Seems the Kraken swallowed a small ship. Oh my, TNT. I spilled myself out. Boom! There's your game opening for 3. You didn't need to go sailing to the afterlife and then sail back to this. And then they turn the ship upside down in the water. It's like, I just said, can this film get any more unrealistic? And I know it's a Disney film. I know we're supposed to be here to have fun and we're supposed to not be realistic, but there's boundaries, there's limits. Sailing off the edge of the earth, that's too far. But could this film got more unrealistic? Oh yeah, it got way more unrealistic, because then they were looking for Calypso. First they think, what's her name? Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I completely forgot. It wasn't Rose, was it? Oh crap, I forgot her name. Anyway, they think she's Calypso first. Then it turns out Calypso's the Jamaican woman. And they say, Calypso, I release you. And then she turns, here's where the film officially lost me. Then she turns into a 40-foot tall woman. Yeah, man, I be 40-foot woman, yeah. How does the ship not sink right there? And I actually did this in the theater. So yeah, I was like, no. Now, okay, the big battle scene at the end was pretty good, but the ridiculousness of At World's End was too much to bear. Let's just say this. There's things I'll allow anime to get away with that I will not allow live action to get away with. And there's things live action I will allow them to get away with that I will not allow anime to get away with. So don't get me, well, you're an anime fan, so there's lots of unrealistic stuff that happen, like Squirrel Girls having superpowers or guys with yellow hair that can fly. That's anime, that's in a realm of its own. And since Pirates of the Caribbean already established itself in a certain area, and don't forget, by the way, Pirates of the Caribbean, many of you may not know this, it's actually based on actual events. There really were, Disney made that ride because there really were Pirates of the Caribbean. And they turned it into this beyond belief film. Now, moving on to Spider-Man 3. Now, I won't lie to you, my favorite superhero is Batman, so take a guess what movie will not be on my overrated list. But, Spider-Man was a late contender. I started liking Spider-Man when they came out with Spider-Man the Animated Series in the late 90s. So I got into it. I never read the comics. I never bought the comic book. I read the Spider-Man comic strips every now and then, but never the comic book. So I liked Spider-Man. Pretty down-to-earth guy, down-to-earth superhero. He didn't even get the girls sometimes, how I feel, you know? And I could definitely see why Spider-Man was very popular because of the fact, because he was immortal. Sure, he had these superpowers, but, you know, he's this geeky, dorky teenager like anybody else. And like I said, sometimes he doesn't get the girl. In the animated series, he didn't get the girl all the time. Like, Peter Parker would be late for his dates all the time, and the girl's like, Peter, you're late. Why are you late? So schoolwork came up. You know what? Forget this date. F you. And stuff like that. He's like, aw, he feels sorry for him, and that's my date life. So I can actually relate to Peter Parker in the date life area. So then the live action movies come. Spider-Man 1, really liked it. 2 is where Spider-Man started to lose me. First of all, Doc Ock builds a sun in his living room. He builds his own star in his living room. Yeah, of course it's gonna have gravitational. I almost wouldn't let anime get away with that. I mean, he builds a star in New York City. But 3 is where it really went overhill. Now, first, I heard Venom was going to be in 3, so naturally I was excited because I remember during the animated series, and keep in mind, I didn't buy the comic books. So from the Spider-Man, the true Spider-Mans have told me Venom's huger in the comic books. Well, I really liked Venom. I really liked Venom in the animated series because they did like a 5-parter. Like, they did 5-part episodes with Venom back to back to back. It was like a mini-series for Spider-Man. So it was a really big deal, and it was awesome, and it was great. But in Spider-Man 3, no, Venom has to share the villain stuff with Mr. Sandman, with the guy who can turn into sand. Alright, Venom alone is already pushing limits on realism with, you know, the oil and all that, and stretching himself out, and being an alien and all that jazz, but the guy who could turn into sand and gather the sand together and then come sand. Maybe I'll let that. Maybe I'd let anime get away with that. No, not live action. Sorry. I mean, the sun in Doc Ock's living room's looking slightly realistic for Spider-Man's world, but a guy who can turn into sand and reassemble himself and unassemble himself, maybe my head explode. And the fact that Venom, the guy who was underneath Venom, was kind of a dork. The guy who played the Sandman should have played Venom, and the guy who played Venom should have. I really don't think they should have had the Sandman there. I think this should have been Venom's movie all by himself, all to himself. I just think. I'm sorry. I just didn't like Pirates of the Caribbean 3 or Spider-Man 3. They were both these movies. I will give them credit. They tried. They really tried, but it was an absolute mess. That's all I have to say.
It's the